was kind of encouraging for you? I know you talked about you could take some wins, could take some losses. What you just kind of learned from that whole experience?
I think for me, the most encouraging was having two come from behind victories, where we were down 4 runs in the bottom of the 7th or top of the 7th, and then 5 runs to arguably one of the top 2 or 3 pitchers in the country, and we're down 5 runs going into the 6th inning, I believe, and having a 6-run comeback, and having that happen in our first 6 games to get 2 really significant come from behind victories. Like you'd hope to have 2 of them in a whole year, and to get 2 in our first 6 games tells me our team's in a good place mentally. They're not going to be easy. They're not going to accept defeat easily. So that was to me the highlight of the weekend.
Before you went on the trip, you said the team didn't know what their identity was yet. Do you feel like you have a grasp of the identity right now?
I think it's developing still. I think it's going to take this team a month, maybe even 6 weeks to really know who they are and understand fully, because it's a very deep team. There's a lot of players that are going to be a factor, and we've had some injuries. We had critical players out last weekend. Katie Lott was out. Demi Eldred was out. Those are big pieces of our puzzle, and for the kids to overcome that and still play at a really high level, to see our freshmen stepping up and being involved to the extent they were, I think that's a really good sign, and I think it's another reason that we won't fully understand the identity of the team until maybe even the midpoint of the season. It's going to take a little while to get a grasp for what this team will end up looking like at its final moment.
First time seeing Nigeri pitch live against another team. Safe to say she's as advertised, I guess. What was it like watching her just go out and deal?
When you have that type of pitcher, and I was lucky in a pro league, I coached Monica Abbott and Kat Osterman, great pitchers, Kehlani Ricketts. When you have that type of presence in the circle in softball, knowing how many innings they can pitch and how much you can use them, how often you can go to them, it's a tremendous thing for a coach and for a ball club. And so Nyjah was everything we wanted her to be and more, I thought. I thought she didn't just live up to the expectations, she exceeded them, which is really hard to do when you come in with the hype that she's been under. So it was, I have no words to say how happy she made me, but I was very happy, Coach, having her out there on the field in our uniform.
Staying on Nyjah here for a second, how are you feeling about her so far? Not necessarily recent specifically, but how do you feel about her just so far from a hitting standpoint?
I don't want to do anything to add pressure to her, but I will say, she works so hard. She's obviously got talent. She's physically gifted. She's strong. She's got a lot of quick twitch, and there's a reason she throws the ball so hard. And there's a reason she can hit the ball so far. She's got enormous talent. And then I think when you see her behind the scenes and you understand how hard she works, the amount of effort that she puts into being a better hitter every day, and then the mental approach to being a better hitter, where she's willing to take down notes, everything you say, she writes it down, she's keeping a journal, she keeps a book. When you put everything together and you realize how much physical ability she got, plus the mental approach to becoming a great hitter, I think it's a really positive sign that she's going to eventually become a really important piece of our offense. And I think that her performance on the weekend gave us that indication, yes, she's going to be a critical piece to our offense. So I'm very encouraged by it. I just don't want to get over the top enthusiastic and then end up putting more pressure on her than she already has, which is enormous.
You said you were going to limit Nyjah's pitching. What did it say for you to get the wins and the ability from these other secondary pitchers to show up this last weekend?
Yeah, I think that the better our other pitchers throw, the more we can limit Nyjah. Obviously every game's important in softball. When you consider how they seed the NCAA tournament and RPI, the factor that RPI has, there's no game that's not really important, because the lower RPI teams that you would, theoretically it'd be an easier win, they become more critical that you do win them when you get to the NCAA tournament and RPI overall. So I think that I just have to have the pitching staff as a whole, everyone as they improve and as their performances indicate, the better and better they perform, then the less and less I can throw Nija, because every game has to be approached from a win. We got a must-win approach. So I need other pitchers to be consistent in their effort, to be really consistently good, and I think they're very capable of being outstanding. The staff around Nija can be outstanding. I have a lot of faith in Chloe. I have a lot of faith in Sam. I have a lot of faith in Brianna, and Bailey can definitely throw for us and help us. It's just, she's right now so critical at third base. We're not going to be able to use her maybe as much as we would if she wasn't a two-way player. But all four of those girls have the potential to be outstanding college pitchers and give us outstanding innings. So I think we're going to be able to limit Nigel maybe even more than we thought we could at the beginning of fall. But the key is how effectively our entire staff throws, and then how consistently are we effective.
With that being said, what do you see? You had your success 5-1 this week, last weekend. What do you consider success this weekend?
I want to go 5-0 always. It's just who I am. But I would be. I'll consider it a successful weekend if we come out there with a win over Texas and a 4-1 weekend. I would say that's what the standard has to be. But we want to be 5-0, just like Texas, I'm sure, wants to be 5-0 this weekend. So I think the games with Texas will be a great indicator of where we're at. I don't think it's really about what I expect or what I want. I think it's about what it's going to show us. And I think the weekend will show us where we're at. And anything less than 4-1, we're not where we want to be. Anything better than 4-1 is a true validation that, yeah, we are where we want to be. We're legitimate. We're going to be a legitimate contender in May. And I think, you could be 3-2, and if we play really dogfight games, those other two games are really close games, it may turn out that's okay. But what I want to see is our team compete really well in 5 games and be in the hunt to win all 5 games.
On that note, what's kind of been just the scouting report for the programs you're going to be facing in Austin this weekend?
Yeah, Texas is outstanding. They got an outstanding coach in Michael White. Whitey's one of the top coaches in college. He's just a tremendous, tremendous coach. He always has his team prepared. They'll be ready to play us. They'll be well prepared, and they'll be very talented, extremely talented. They're going to be ranked number 1 and number 2 in the country in the polls, and deservedly so. So there's nothing going to be easy about winning in Austin. It'll be a sellout crowd in both games, I'm sure. It's going to be a big-time environment. And that gets into, how well do our freshmen handle that? And how well does the team, it's a new team together. The environment will be much more difficult this weekend than it was last weekend in a city park type tournament. It's going to be a super regional type environment, in my opinion. And it's going to be really good for us to see how our kids react. And then we'll make adjustments based on what we see and what we learn throughout the weekend.
Obviously, with the history Tech has against Texas and those past 2 results, how are you approaching it mentally with your athletes?
Yeah, I don't really care what the past history of Tech is with Texas. I think if you'll look, we played Texas tough. When I was at Louisiana, at one point we had 3-4. I think we even had a winning record at University of Texas after 3 or 4 years. And they'd had a really good team the last 2 years, and they went back ahead. I think it was something like 3-5 or something like that in Austin on the road. So I'm used to going to Austin and playing them really tough. I believe this team will play them really tough. I think we can win in Austin, Texas. I just think we're 7 innings of great softball away from a win, I'm sure Texas looks at it the exact same way. But I don't think the past matters. I think it's all about this weekend and how well we get our kids in that environment and let them settle down, and if we can get them to perform their very best.
I know you only have 3 returners, but have you had any differing conversations with them compared to some of the transfers and your freshmen?
No, everything is about us. It's not. It's about our shot at this year, our chance to win a national championship, and I'm coaching the same way I would any other team. It's about what we can do, what our locker room can do in a game and in competition. I do think the standard has to be really high. When you've got enough talent to win and believe you can win a national championship, you have to hold everyone to a really high standard. And from coaching staff down through the players, it's been a tough environment, and that's going to create tough athletes and tough performance on the field.
What do you see from your offense from the first game in Florida to the last one?
It's-
How do you see the offense progress from your first game in Clearwater to the last one? What did you kind of see overall?
I felt like we got tougher. I thought the come from behind win against Penn State, I thought that was a really good win. And I think it set the table for us to be able to come back and win again the next day against Geordie Ball, Nebraska. I don't think if we hadn't had that experience of being down in the 7th against Penn State, we would have had the ability to come back mentally against a great pitcher like Geordie Ball and a red-hot team. I mean, at that point, they were red-hot. Nebraska was smoking hot, beat Tennessee, number 5 team in the country, which was Geordie Ball's won national championship after national championship. So you can't question her on the mound or in the circle. And for our kids to be able to put that performance up, that's not to be taken lightly. That said a lot about our ball club. And I thought those are invaluable experiences going into Texas this weekend.
With that being said, there's difference when you are inter-squad scrimmaging. What players stepped up to a different level that you saw something different from them when they actually faced someone that didn't have a double T on there?
Maya Davis, another level. And that didn't surprise me at all. I totally expected that. But, I mean, she about 240, 250 in our scrimmages, and she gives you good effort, but she's not gonna come out there and run through the wall like she will in a scrimmage. And go out against Geordie Ball and get 3 hits. That's what an All-American center fielder does. She's a great player. She's a great talent, but most of all, she's just a great competitor. And so to see her step up like she did was huge. I think I felt like she had a bad weekend, and you look at the stats, she's up there right around 400. And then she had to catch, and she had to double play in center field. She affected games with her defense. She's just a tremendous player. And then her going to home plate and leading off and setting the tone for our offense is a huge thing every day, too. I thought Vic Valdez got 3 hit by pitches. She told how tough mentally a player that she is. She showed that toughness I'm wanting my team to be known for. And then she hit over 400 for the weekend. So a great all-around performance from Vic Valdez. I thought that was a really good sign.
With that first extra inning loss, did that kind of set that tone of, hey, we're going to have to step up?
No doubt. I mean, it was a warning sign, a challenge to our offense to go. All we had to do was score 1 run. And the kids, in fairness, like if we'd have been on a college field, Lana would have had a home run, the ball in the first inning. The fence was 225, 8 foot tall. Most college fences are going to be 220. And it was in the gap. And the gaps were really deep. I think it probably, if you measure, it would be like 232 there, right where her and Anya both hit their ball would have been over a 230-foot shot that didn't go out of the park. And those are always going to go out for home runs, but in any normal college park that we play in, they're going to be home runs. But it was still, so we had a little bit of things we can go, but to not win a game and all we had to do was score 1 run is an absolute challenge to your team offensively, and I thought they responded extremely well to come back in that next game and get a 10-9, 11-10 win in the comeback fashion they did, and then to get 6 runs off Geordie Ball. That was really good to create that kind of offensive effort.
Before that tournament, you said you had to take a loss. You had to not panic. Can you run me through the conversation you had with your team after that loss?
Yeah, I told the kid after the game, like, I'm not disappointed that it happened. I'm not surprised that it happened. I think we're on our way to being a better ball club. I had thought about how I wanted to respond, how I wanted my team to see me respond. I'd spent a lot of time thinking about what they needed from their coach in the event we lose, which I knew would happen with a new ball club and so many new pieces. And, I just told them, like, we control our destiny. We score 1 or 2 runs, we win that game, and we will in the future. We're going to be a championship ball club. Just keep fighting, keep digging, keep finding ways to win. Don't accept it. And I thought they responded really well to it.
You know, I want to go back to when you mentioned competing. You mentioned Nigeria, you mentioned Maya, Alana. Just talk about what these veteran transfers bring to this ball program.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, your team will be as good as they are competitors. And I think that starts from the top. I think a coach, they have to know, like, I'm competitive. I'm a competitive person. I don't care what it is. I'm going to try to win, and I don't like losing anything. I don't like losing ever. It doesn't matter, skeet shooting or quail hunting or, tiddlywinks. I want to win. Uno. I want to win at Uno. I cheat at Uno and to win. And the kids need to know, like, the coaching test is going to be competitive, and they need to feed off that. And you are who you run with. And I think our team will be extremely competitive by the end of the year. And I thought Naja, Maya, Vic Valdez, I thought those kids, Alon Johnson, they showed a lot of toughness, to do the things they did at individual moments. Lauren Allred off the bench to get a 2 RBIs against Penn State. I thought that was a moment. That's a kid that got 92 RBI, 47 RBIs with 92 at bats her freshman year of college, and had hits against Washington, had hits against LSU. Those moments come out where Vic and Naja and Maya and Alana, those leaders in our ball club, that show that mental toughness and that competitiveness that we want our program to be known as. And it'll just get better and better from there. The freshmen will emulate them.
You talk about mental toughness a lot. Obviously, you start the season off with a bit of a stretch on the road. Can you speak to the mental toughness it takes to perform at such a high level before you even have the chance to play in front of your fans?
Yeah, ultimately, championship sports, and not just softball, but at any level, the mental toughness is the key to victory. It's not talent. The most talented team doesn't always win. It's a team that's the mentally toughest almost always wins. Because it's not the best team that day. It's not the best team. It's the best team that particular day and that particular moment. And, I think at the end of the year, we'll look back and we'll realize we were the best team on every single game we played this weekend. When we lost one, the one we lost, we didn't lose because of our talent. We lost because we weren't mentally tough enough to win that game, or weren't mentally prepared enough to win that game. And I think it's critical our kids know that. Otherwise, they don't understand why practices are hard. They don't understand why coach is yelling, trying to make them. I think they have to have a clear vision that our goal is to become not just a good physically team or a good talented team. Our goal is to be physically gifted, talented, and extremely mentally tough and disciplined at the end of the year.
After getting that tournament under their hands, is there anything that came back to you feedback-wise that maybe we need to change this, maybe we need to change that?
The coaching staff and I have looked at a lot of it, and we got some ideas of things we can do better. I'm still trying to figure out if we want to be a speed team or we want to play for the double and home run. And I'm not sure yet. I think we got to see some performances more from Logan Hallman and Michaela Garcia. Because if we get them involved, we've got to depend on the bunt game and the slap game and really be a nightmare on the bases, which means they have to be on the bases. But I think we need more than one weekend. And then we did see the power. We saw the power of Naja totally change the Nebraska game. We saw some doubles that come into play. And we had to almost could have changed the game with Mississippi State with both Anya and Lana. So we saw the power game I wanted to see show up a little bit. I want to see the speed game, and I'm not give up on it yet. I still think it can be there, but we can't be, when you play slappers and speed, you can't be a 250 batting average. You got to be a 400 type offense and get on base 40-50% of the time, either through walks or through hits. And so I need to see more consistency there and give them more opportunity.
As a new head coach of the program, just how good was it to get out on the field and coach this team?
Fantastic. It just seemed like forever from June the 23rd till the first game, and all the speculation, all the hype. And you don't know, like as a coach, you really don't know when you watch them in the inner squad. you can't tell how good are we or how good can we be. My experience and my evaluation of players is that, I think we can be very good, but to think is a big word there. And then to go out on the field and actually get to compete against Mississippi State and Nebraska, and then this weekend, all 5 games, but obviously the 2 games with Texas is going to give me it's going to take me from thinking to knowing, and we're going to very quickly have a really good feel for our potential. And everything I saw was positive. I feel really good about where we're at, but the more games we play and the tougher games we play, tougher opponents, the more I'll know.
What was the emotion that not only your team had from the first win to the first loss? I mean, how do you balance, having success and turning around and having failure?
Yeah, I think you just keep chugging. Like, I think the great athlete doesn't necessarily dwell too much on a day-to-day performance. They focus on the day-to-day process of getting better each and every day as an individual and as a team. And so I think our team, we don't want to get stuck on the results of the weekend. 5-1's nice, but the results, really the key result we want to take is we can get better. We can get a lot better. Now, how do we do that? That goes back to the process of, compete harder in practice, to be more diligent in practice, to give more effort in practice, to put more challenge into our practice as a coaching staff, and then grow from there.
All right.